All right, we're going at this again here. This SD card's looking like it's getting close to full. I can't tell if it's like 18 or 19 minutes maybe left on it. I've been on a roll here talking about stuff tonight, and I was just talking about communicating with God and feeling angels around me, and how sometimes I can feel my prayers are answered, and sometimes I'm not sure, but they end up getting answered anyway. And me telling other people that when they turn to me and ask me for help or to pray for them or that, and sometimes I'll tell them straight out, don't worry, it's all going to be fine, I promise you. And that's because I feel it and I know it. Now, if I don't feel it and know it, but I think if I'm like steering towards, I think it's going to be okay or whatever, but I can't feel it totally, I'll tell them straight out, just calm down, and I'm pretty sure it's going to all be okay, But I won't say for sure unless I really, really, really feel it, Because and it seems like so far I'm betting 1,000 or 100 or whatever you want to say, because it's went well. Thank you, Lord, for communicating with me, however that is. It's happening. The other hard thing is that God has shown me stuff throughout my life too, and sometimes it's been signs and stuff, but there's been actual times He's played like a videotape in my mind of something that's happening, and I'm nowhere near it. And then when I talk about the situation to whoever's involved and tell them, you're wearing a red shirt and blue jeans and blah 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 blah, and how do you know that? Well, the Lord showed me. That's only happened to me a few times like that. A few different times where the Lord has actually showed me, something that's happened in the past or something that was currently happening. I don't know if He's shown me really future stuff. Kind of sometimes. He has, but not. I don't know how to explain that one either, because that's a tough one. Because there's been people throughout my life that it's not always easy. Some of the stuff God can show you, Sometimes they're good things, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes God can show you something that might hurt your heart, but there's a reason He's showing you that. Like He's showing me certain people that they were going to die. And when it first happened, I just, even though I seen it or felt it, I almost didn't think it was real or not, even though it felt like it. And then when it happened, then I knew that was God showed me, And after the first time, it happened a few more times, And it was kind of shaken to me, when in the beginning couple experiences like that, because I didn't know how to handle it. But then as I kind of understood it or accepted it more, that it was just part of the design, even though I don't understand why it is, but for some reason, in certain situations, God has shown me that. And when He's shown me that, sometimes He's shown me it, but let me know that that was for me to see only, and not to talk about it to anybody or something like that. I know it might sound crazy, but it's true. Now, like with my stepdad and my dad, my biological dad, I knew he was going to die too, and that was when I was 25 years old. And when I got to work that night, I told somebody who was my friend at the time, I thought so anyway, I told him straight out that I said, it may sound kind of morbid or different or weird or something, but pretty sure my dad's going to die tonight, before I finish working this shift or whatever, or at the end of it or something like that. But basically, he's going to die before I get to see him again. And he did, and I talked about it. Well, I just had a revelation there. I was still in like a dream state of that, because I didn't even realize then until now that was the beginning of kind of what I'm going through now, but a little different too. I guess maybe it was part of my beginning training or something. I don't know, but it did happen. And actually, I knew it before. I knew my dad was going to die, and I left ears ringing. And I remember it was talking about me. That's just an old wives' tale, but I still like to play along with it. if my ear starts ringing, and they say when your ear starts ringing, somebody's talking about you. I like to think it's good things. Most of it would be, because I'm a real good man, a really, really good man. Now I got some people that wouldn't talk good about me because of their jealousy, or because I'm like favored by God or something, and I get upset or something, or sad. I don't understand why people got to be that way, but I just wanted good stuff for them too. But it's like that, it wasn't enough. It's like they wanted the favor that I had. So because they didn't have it, I became bad to them, or they wanted to bring me down, kind of like misery loves company. But I don't want to get too sidetracked here about God showing me stuff. And my dad, one thing that's really cool is that it was a tough situation, but when I knew my dad was going to die, before I said goodbye to him, before I went to work that night to tell my so-called friend or whatever that my dad was going to die, I knew it before I left my dad, and he knew it too. I gave him a kiss, a hug and a kiss, and told him, "Dad, you get better, because I don't like seeing you like this," because I could tell he was in pain. And he just looked me in the eyes from what I'd said or whatever. And he was in so much pain, I didn't want him to be in that pain no more. And I knew, I could just tell. It's weird, because he seemed normal, He seemed pretty normal. But I can't explain it. I just could feel it, I could feel. And I knew right then and there, when I had to walk out that door to go to work, I knew that was the last time I'd ever see my dad, alive. And really, really weird, because we just looked in each other's eyes after I gave him a kiss and a hug and told him I loved him, and I wanted him to get better because I didn't like seeing him, and this pain I could see he was in. And we just, somehow, just looking in each other's eyes, we shared a world of information just in a brief moment. I don't know if it was like a second, half a second, or a couple seconds. Each time I look back at it, it's like a really euphoric moment. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I know now, and then I knew it, and now I know it, and of course I knew it then. That's why I told my friend when I got to work that this was going to happen. But my dad knew it too, and I knew it. And it's like I said, we looked in each other's eyes, and just so much was said just in that, just looking at each other. I don't know how I can even communicate it. I don't know, but we both knew as we were looking at each other that was our last moment. We knew it. I knew it. He knew it. Now my stepmom sitting there, she didn't know it. She had no clue. Nobody did. Nobody had a clue. But me and my dad knew it. I don't know how to explain it. We did, though. And when I went to work, I don't know why I told my coworker, I guess I could call him. Like I said, I thought he was my friend, but through the years, I found out things that a friend wouldn't do to a friend, So, not the way I was raised, anyway, and stuff he did wasn't godly, like the way somebody that's of God would treat another friend. They wouldn't do that kind of stuff, So it's sad to say, because I thought I really had high attachment to him and wanted him to be like a brother for life, but I know better now. And God showed me a lot there too. Stuff that God showed me. It don't matter what anybody tried to hide or think they're getting away with. Don't matter. God showed me, and God's taking care of it all. It's all still, some of it's still in the works. I don't know how to explain that, and I'm going to get into that too much. But then it happened with other people. My stepdad, when I knew he was going to go, my mom all my life, I would never, back talk or lip off to my mom or raise my voice to her. I love my mom. I had so much respect for her. Even when I was in trouble, because I did school or whatever, she was my mom. I had that respect. So if I was getting spanked or grounded or whatever, that was her decision. She was my mom. I went with it. Now, as I got older, if she tried to spank or smack me with a brush or something when I was getting into my high school years. Well, and, I got into martial arts and stuff, so it was instinctive for me to block. I never strike my mom, but out of instinct, if she's trying to hit me, I'm all blocking stuff, and I ain't knocking it away from her, but I'm like parrying it off so that way, because I don't. It's instinctive not to get hurt. I'm gonna just stand there and take a beating. Part of the time I'm thinking of, boy, she was getting mad too, because she really wanted to smack me a good one. And every time she tried to smack me, she had like a brush or a comb or something in her hand, and she's trying to, I don't know, she's trying to spank my butt or whatever, hit me with it. And I was laughing too. That made it even worse, because after I blocked it a couple times out of instinct, I started laughing because I was nervous and scared because I knew she was mad at me. But and I could see her getting even more mad, trying to hit me, and I'm all block, move. Now, if she was still around and I brought that moment up, she would even kind of giggle about it, But it wasn't a giggling moment while it was happening, that's for sure. And I giggled, but I think it was more out of fear and nervousness, But God, I don't know how that popped in there. It happened right outside my bedroom door, in my downstairs bedroom. I'm sorry, Ma. I was a little brat sometimes, But I always had a good heart. I was just trying to not get smacked. So, anyway, back to my stepdad. Well, that's why, because I started saying how I'd never raise my voice to my mom, or I'd never, ever try to hit my mom or hurt her. I'd be like playing, like goofing around, or something, but in a serious matter, no way would I ever do that, And I wouldn't backtalk my mom. I wouldn't raise my voice to her. The only times I raised my voice to her was when we had a tornado coming and she wanted to take a nap, and well, I'll tell that story another time because I don't want to get too sidetracked. And once I raised my voice to her pretty loud, she knew something serious was up because I don't talk to her like that. And we did. We got socked by the tornado, but I got it up in time because of my stern voice. Whoa! He just raised his voice to me. There better be something real going on, or he's gonna get hurt. But back to Dad. When I knew my dad was gonna die, my stepdad. It's not my biological dad. Is who I talked about first. Now I'm talking about my stepdad. This is years later because my biological dad died when I was 25. My stepfather was a wonderful man. He died when I was 49, 50 or something like that. Right now, I could be off. It's just, it's a lot to think about. I got a lot going on. I ain't going to spend time doing the math, but it's something like that. So it was in the last 7, 8 years or something like that. 8 years maybe. No, it's been longer than that. No, I was probably like 45. I don't know, but kind of trivial about that right now. But when I knew he was going to go. I just knew it. And again, I don't know how to explain it. It was different than with my biological dad, but it's like I knew it and he knew I knew it too. Because we actually had prior months, prior or something like that, or weeks or months prior, I kind of had a little bit of discussion with him about it. But I knew it was coming. I could feel it. And I'm glad I got to have a good talk with him about it, because I let him know how much I love him and how much I'd be missing him when he's gone. Whew. That was an emotional moment, and reliving it was emotional. But anyway, when I got real close, I knew it. I could feel it, and I told my mom, my 2 stepsisters that were his daughters, my sisters. I'm just saying stepsisters just because I'm analytical and defining, but they are my sisters. I grew up with them as little kids. We grew up together, so they're my sisters. They'll always be my sisters, even though they're rotten little turds right now. They're being little brats and little squirrely, greedy, whatever they are. But I still love them. I still wish the best for them. I don't like their actions, and and stuff, but is what it is. But no matter what, that don't take away all the time we had growing up together, you know. So they may not be related to me by blood, but they'll always be my sisters, you know. And even my brother, who I won't refuse, I don't want to have nothing to do with him no more. After years and years of trying to help him be a better person, I still have a love for him and wish him the best. I don't wish ill will on him, but I won't have him around me no more. You know, it's just there's too much negativity and stuff. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. That word anyway snuck in there, but we'll let it slide this time. It's some word I try to not use as frequently, transitioning during a story or when I don't know what I'm going to say next or something. I use it as a transition word out of habit. Back to Dad, my stepdad, my dad. Told my mom, I said, you know, Ma, you need to call the girls. And she was like, no, I plan on calling them. I'll call them tomorrow or something. I said, no, you need to call them now. And she started to say something about she's going to just call them tomorrow because it's getting later and stuff. And I said, no, Mom. I said, call the girls. You need to call them now. And it almost breaks my heart because my mom got to know that I had gifts too or something, you know, maybe or something. She seen it in me, and when I got serious about stuff, she knew that it was the real deal. Something was going down or something, and that whenever I got serious with her like that, she knew. Even though I wasn't trying to backtalk her or nothing like that, she knew that I had a very good reason or good feeling or whatever it was. She knew that what I was saying was what needed to be done or whatever, you know, and whatever the situation was. Because we had lots of different moments like that, but about different stuff. But so she did. She called them, and they did. The girls got there, and I told the girls straight out. You know, the dad did not want to go to the hospital, and I have too much respect for him. I'm not gonna, even though I was strong enough, I could have picked him up and carried him and put him in the car or done whatever I wanted and made him go to the hospital, but I wouldn't do that because I got respect for him. And the thing is, I knew he was going to pass. He knew it too. He didn't want to pass in the hospital. He wanted to be at home where he felt comfortable and knew that it was a family environment where he felt loved and normal and all that stuff. You know, he didn't want to be in a sterile hospital environment away from home and all that kind of stuff, you know. He's been through enough in life, you know, through the Vietnam War and stuff, you know. So I let my sisters know when they got there that said, I want you to know, Dad don't want to go to the hospital. And I'm not going to force him. And you know I'm strong enough to do that and take care of him and do all that stuff, but I'm not going to. I said, because I've got respect for him. I said, now if you talk to him and he changes his mind and says, yes, he wants to go to the hospital, I will get him there. I will pick him up, carry him, whatever needs to be done, I will make it happen. But that's only by his choice, you know, because I have the utmost respect for him and his wishes. Even if I don't like him, I respect him enough for his wishes. And my sisters, you know, they got to spend time with their dad and talk to him, and they were there for a few hours or so. You know, they'd rotate in and out or whatever, spending the time with him. They'd go through their emotions and stuff because they could tell. And they knew something was up when I made Ma call him. She must have told the girls that, well, Darren made me call you. He said, you have to get here, you know. And they did, and I'm glad they did. Because when they left that night, he died a couple hours later, you know, in the night. And that was another tough time, you know. I went to check on him. I don't remember what time it was or whatever, but it was closer to morning because they were there pretty late and stuff. And, yeah, so I knew when I went to check on my dad, I knew it before I even went to look at him. I could feel it. I don't know how to explain it. I could feel he was going to go before he went, you know. So knowing that he'd already passed wasn't nothing compared to knowing that he was going to go, you know. So I could feel it. That's why I got up, you know, because I could feel my soul or whatever could feel that his soul had left, you know. And my mom come walking out and almost met me in the hallway area on my way to there. And before I even really went in there, I let her know because I could feel it. I said, I'm pretty sure Dad's gone, you know. And she was like, no. I said, I'm pretty sure, you know. And I went in there, and yeah, he was gone. And then my mom kind of went into shock a little bit, you know. Because I told her to call 911, you know. And I could tell she was having a hard time thinking. So I said, bring me the phone, you know. And that was even kind of a challenge, but she got it to me, and I called 911 and stuff, and they tried getting me to do CPR and all that stuff and everything, but he was already, rigor mortis had already set in and stuff, you know. So the minute I went to move, I already knew he was too far. I knew it before I even touched him. I did touch him before I called 911 and stuff, but you know, but I knew he was gone before I even touched him. And when I touched him, to confirm that I was right, and I was. And then when they wanted me to do CPR, I tried telling him on the line that, no, he's gone, you know, we're beyond a CPR point, you know. And, of course, that the dispatcher, they don't know that. They don't know the situation. Where are we at here? Okay. This is going to be a long one. So, the dispatcher was like, they're trained to do that, so they want me to try anyway. So they wanted me to pick him up, put him on the floor on his back, you know, and they're going to start having me doing chest compressions or whatever. But as soon as I went to pick him up, rigor mortis set in. His body was already wanting to stay in the shape it was in and stuff, you know. But that's what I told him on the phone. I started crying and stuff. I said, no, I said, I told you he's gone, you know. I said, his body's too stiff, you know. You know, I said, this ain't happening, you know. And, because they aren't there, they're just on the phone trying to coach you, you know. And then, of course, the paramedics got there, and then we had to wait for the coroner and all that kind of stuff. But it's a different moment. But anyway, I don't know, I got into it a little too much there. Got to walk away from it in my mind now, otherwise I'll start feeling the emotions again. So, but anyway, my point was that, you know, I don't know why it's me or why I have these gifts or things or how stuff happens. But it does, and here I am making these videos because God told me He wanted me to start talking about them more. So I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I decided I think it was me who decided to start the channel. I know God told me He wanted me to start talking about them more. And I like to think I'm the one who came up with the channel idea, but maybe not, you know. Maybe I was guided to do it. I don't know. So, once again, here we are, 20-some minutes into it. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and we will see you on the next one.